Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm sharing with you some weeding tips and tricks that I like to use when I am weeding. So I've just cut out this design. You probably can't see it right now because it's black. However, this is a design that my daughter has asked me to make for her art folder at school. So I'm going to take advantage of this request because this has got some little tiny pieces on it, and you can see there that the machine has actually took out one piece of it for me, but I think I need that piece, so I might have to try and find it on my blade later on. So let's jump straight in to my weeding tips. So my first tip for you is to weed on your mat. This is how it has just come out of the machine. So what I'm going to do is flip it round so that it's upside down but it's closer to me so that I can start weeding. And then I'm going to grab my favourite weeding tools and show you which ones I like the best. So for this, because it's quite intricate, you'll see that in a moment, I am going to use the Cricut Straight weeding tool. This is a bit bent because my son used it to poke some wood or something for one of his school projects and bent it. However, it does work still and I like that one best. Then I'm also going to use a pin pen weeding tool. You can see it's got a really sharp point on it, so it's great for intricate cuts and things which need a little bit more of a delicate touch. I'm also going to use my very sharp tweezers today because I know that there's pieces on here that are going to stick down that I'm going to need to hold in place, so I'll be using my tweezers, and those are my favourite ones. I may also use a X-Acto knife or a craft knife. This is just a really sharp, like scalpel type knife. You can use the plastic disposable ones like this as well if you want to, but I prefer this type of knife. So first of all, the reason that I'm holding it on my mat here is it's going to be so much easier for me to weed when it's held in place like this. So if you imagine I've got this piece to weed and I'm trying to hold it in place, I've got my tools, but it's moving all over the place, and that's going to make it difficult for you when you're weeding. So that's why I'm going to hold it in place on my cutting mat to get started. So let's just lift up one corner and like pull back and just pull it off like that. And as you can see, I've got both hands free to use for holding my design exactly where I want it to be. So my next tip for weeding is to use a lint roller. This is just a basic lint roller, and what I do is pop it at the side of where I'm working, and it won't move because obviously it's sticky. And then what I do is just start to weed away my work. And I like to snip off pieces as I'm going along just to make sure that I have full control over where is being weeded. So I'm just going to carefully pull up as much of this as possible, and I'll use my tools as I'm going along to help if necessary. Just want to make sure that I don't lose any pieces of this. So there's a bit there that's okay. So I'm just using my tools as I'm going along to hold down any pieces that might come up. Okay, and now that I've got this half off, what I'm going to do to make it easier for myself is cut off all of this waste vinyl here, just so that I'm not going to risk sticking that back on. And what I'm going to do is pop it on my lint roller. Okay, and then I can carry on just lifting up this. Now you can see that piece has lifted there. Just need to be careful not to stick that back on itself, and just keep going carefully. Again, stick it on my lint roller. So instead of having to pick up all of your pieces off your desk or off your hands or anywhere that you've stuck it, if you've got it on your lint roller, it's really easy to just peel off your layer of your lint roller and pop it in the bin. So my next tip is weeding these small letters out. So I've got all these tiny little letters that I need to weed, and obviously some of them, like this R here for instance, has got the piece of vinyl inside the R that I need to keep, and when I'm lifting it up the whole piece is coming with it. So what I want to do is use my weeding tool just to lift up the corner of that letter, and then once I've got that, I'm going to use my weeding tool to press down the piece that I don't want to lift up, and then I take my tweezers and just pull the rest out. So I am effectively holding on to that piece, and it may stick to my weeding tool a little bit like it has there. Then I can just place it back in place and make sure that I haven't lost that piece. So let's try it with this A. So I've got it under there, and again it's coming up with that, so I want to make sure that I don't lose that. So now I've just used my tweezers to hold it down. So there is my A, just there. And I can stick it onto my lint roller again. Another little piece of equipment that I love is this nail polish holder. I know you can get these specifically made for weeding, but this is just one that you're supposed to put your nail polish in the top of, and then you put it on your hands whilst you're doing your nails. But this one was from eBay, I think, and it was about £2.50. So I just use it, and all you do, get your piece of weeding on there and then just pop it into the little slot on the holder. And what's great about this is it's silicone, and vinyl won't stick to silicone, so you will not end up with any pieces sticking to it. And when you come to empty it, it's super easy to empty. Just open it out and tip it into your bin. So another tip that I've got here is to use a light pad or a bright pad or something that's going to give light off underneath your vinyl that you're trying to weed. So this piece is cut and there is design on there. I can roughly see it, but it's difficult to see. So I'm going to put the bright pad on, and I'm going to put it as bright as it will go. And my other tip for when you're using a bright pad is to turn off any overhead lights. So now you should be able to make out the design, and it's just there. There's the two little eyepieces. There is a speech bubble that I can see there, a little hand and 2 feet. So I'm going to weed this off now using the bright pad, and I'm going to use my regular weeding tool. Now I know I've just said to keep it stuck to the mat, but sometimes you can't because you can't see what you're weeding. So let's just do this here. And one of the other things that I would say now is that the bright pad is absolutely game changing if you are weeding glitter HTV, because it is a pain to weed, and whenever I'm doing it I nearly lose the will to live. So I like to use my bright pad. This is the Cricut branded one, but you can get other ones on Amazon that are just as good and will do the job perfectly. And I think some people have bought stuff from like B&M and places like that as well that they've used. So this one does plug into either the side of the maker, the side of your laptop, or just into a regular USB plug like what you'd use for your phone charger or whatever. So that is really good as well. So I can see the pieces that I'm trying to weed much easier when I'm using my bright pad. So another really great tip when you are making something, especially that's got maybe some intricate pieces on it, is to make a weeding box for it. So I'm just going to ungroup this and I'm going to cut one of my layers with a weeding box. Okay, so I'm just going to move away the layers that I don't want. So I want, no, I don't want that one. So the layer that I'm going to make with the weeding box is going to be this one here, okay? So what I want to do is just go up to my shapes menu, grab a square, and then what I'm going to do is make it big enough to cover the piece that I need to weed out. So let's send that to the back as well, and we can make that a bit smaller actually. So let's just pop that in there. All right, so I've got that there now, and I'm going to just select it, and I'm going to click on attach, and then go up to make it, and then that one layer will now mirror what I've got on my screen. It won't be yellow anymore because I haven't changed it to yellow. So if I just make sure that that one is the one that's selected on the screen, and then I can click on continue and then cut it out. So I find a weeding box to be a really useful tool when I'm using a full sheet of vinyl. If this is a scrap piece or one that maybe you've already cut something out of, it's not too bad, but I like to use a weeding box, and I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but where I've drawn my square on the screen, it has cut out around there. So what I'm going to do is just lift up the corner of that box. Can you see that now? And then it allows me to pull back just the area that needs weeding really easily, and that is now my piece ready to be put on the transfer tape and applied to my layered project. It can sometimes be difficult when you are weeding to figure out which pieces need to stay in your design and which pieces need to be weeded out. So if you are having this problem, I would suggest that you use your design on your screen whilst you're weeding, so you can see which pieces need to be removed and which pieces actually need to stay. I love this tip for little designs like this where there's bits that are inside of other bits, or bits that are maybe you're not sure whether they need to come out or not. So definitely use your screen to your advantage and make sure that you get all the correct pieces out when you're weeding. So thank you all for watching. I hope that this video has helped you to find some new ways to make your weeding easier when you're doing a project. If you have enjoyed this video, I'd love to see you again for the next one. So don't forget to subscribe, drop me a like or any questions or comments that you may have down below. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know how you've got on with these different hints and tips. And all that's left to be said now is have a great week. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.